Swagger on point when I step in. Signs in the air for the gang that you're repping. Don't get brave when I'm stepping in the rave. If you show man love, everything's okay. So for a lively rave to have fun in. If there ain't girls in the place, we ain't coming. Middle finger up to the Jake, stepping in with the gang. Please tell the police they can't come in. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Man a sign if you're down for the gang.
Can't fuck with the gang, we'll fucking pretend. We be busting the clubs, cause you know that we can. Can't fuck with the gang, we'll fucking pretend. Still rocking the show, still feeling the flow.
Welcome back, Juventinita. My name is Daniel Anigro, and this is the third episode of the Juventinita Back to Black and White podcast. And, I've been receiving a hell of a lot of praise and a lot of thanks and comments, and a lot of guys are asking questions, so it's always good to hear. And we keep it rolling. I want to make this this podcast as kind of a bridge between us finishing with hopefully finishing with the COVID situation, and obviously it's I find this really exciting, and now we get to start with the Serie A again. And so just for a quick moment, if you guys would like to obviously subscribe, that would be in the bottom right corner. Obviously hit the logo. All of that is appreciated. And then obviously on Twitter at Juventinita, DAL. And obviously on Instagram, Juventinita, DAL. And I'm happy to announce, obviously, of last night, I'm now on Spotify. So Juventinita, Back to Black and White podcast. There is the 3 episodes, or 2 episodes, obviously 1 in 2 parts. And as of 20 minutes ago, we have finally been put onto Apple Podcast. And so the last one is Google Podcast, but I'm sure that's going to be coming in that either a day or two. So any obviously Android users will be able to use that. And, I'm really happy that that's possible, because I sympathize with all you guys listening. It's a lot easier to hear podcasts while you're driving, obviously on an app that doesn't need to be open. And like I said last time, who wants to buy YouTube Premium? So I think that's good. And now, without further ado, I'd like to invite a guest on. He's from Birmingham, England, and he is obviously in the WhatsApp group that we were discussing with Farouk last time. So Adal, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you? Everything's good with COVID in England?
Yeah, well, it's kind of starting to ease a little bit out here. The numbers are coming down, so it's all good news. So fingers crossed we'll be out of it all pretty soon. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's doing pretty good here in obviously in Calgary and in Alberta. The numbers were pretty low in general. Obviously, there's been a lot worldwide, but fortunately enough, it's kind of only hit the bigger cities, I would say. But even then, it hasn't hit the numbers, fortunately enough, that have been reported in the US and even in Europe. So we've been doing a pretty good job, which is nice. Yeah, exactly. And so first, I know you were telling me that you haven't been on any of the podcasts before, so kind of a tradition where we get to see how you became a Juve fan. I know you were saying that you're kind of one of the only Juve fans in Birmingham, so kind of explain that situation and how you were.
Juve. Yeah, I mean, with in terms of how I became a Juve fan, I mean, my sister was actually a Juventus fan before me, my older sister. So, she had an obsession with Del Piero, like many girls did, and probably still do. And then I remember
Me too.
Watching. Well,
don't just say girls.
So she started getting me into it a little bit, and then I remember it was around Euro 2000 when Italy France played, and Trezeguet knocked Italy out. Well, they won, didn't they, France?
Yes, they
And
did.
after that, yeah, I know. After that, I just fell in love just with Juventus, with Del Piero especially. I mean, he was like an idol pretty much growing up. And then obviously after him was Gigi and whatnot. But yeah, it was all to do with Del Piero, and ever since, yeah, I've been a lifelong Juventus fan. So even when even when we were relegated and all of that, we came back. The seventh place finishes, then rising back to the top, and now we're in a new era of dominance. So it's and we've got this whole host of new Juventus fans who have only ever seen success, and lucky them.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about it. I wish I didn't have to go through all that. But then, I mean,
No.
I guess recently they've been having to deal with some of the boring play. But I guess that's kind of the worst that they're getting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're still winning and playing boring, I mean, I'd be pretty happy with that. It was better than those times playing in Serie B and then coming
Exactly.
back up. But yeah, no, it's yeah. I mean, absolutely in love with Juventus. I guess it's with every fan base, and I think that's just football in general. It's its own culture, and that's what makes it so amazing. And I mean, the likes of you guys. I mean, firstly, congratulations to you for getting your podcast on Spotify. That's absolutely amazing. And also Farouk and the guys who are the admins in the group. They've created their own little community, and it's grateful, especially fans like me. In a city like Birmingham where there's not many Juventus fans. It's great to connect with people all around the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So is there like a there's no official club in Birmingham? That's more of
No, no, no. There's not. I mean, from the group, obviously, there's a few guys who I've met and have become really good friends with, who are all based in the
nice.
UK. And what we've said is once the virus and the lockdown kind of finishes and eases, we'll definitely be meeting up and we'll hopefully catch a game together. So we look forward to that.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of how it starts, right?
Exactly.
It was kind of a crazy start. We were having a little bit of a discussion before the podcast, but it was kind of an interesting start to that WhatsApp group. And I know there's a couple separate groups now, but for the most part,
Yeah,
it's a lot of
it
good
certainly
chats
is.
about the game and a variety of topics in Juve. But yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
an interesting start. But it is good to hear that you know you are able to meet people from obviously your city and obviously around the world. And
mm,
I find it kind of really started with around Turin, obviously for me, meeting all these different fans and becoming very good friends with them, and obviously maybe not seeing each other very often, obviously chatting online, but it's yeah, it's been such a great experience with that, I would
it is.
say.
It is. It certainly is.
And so yeah, let's get right into it, man.
Hmm.
State of Calcio nowadays. It's awesome that we get to play again. I don't know about you, but I was getting really bored, and
Honestly, yeah.
UFC came back, and that was nice. But now I said, yeah, it's gonna be really awesome.
There's nothing quite like football. I think lockdown would have been a lot easier if football was allowed to be
Definitely.
watched and played. No, I actually can't wait. I mean, obviously, you've got the worries about the schedules and what's going to happen. Firstly, we've got the Coppa Italia coming up. We've already got something to play for straight away. Something's on the line. The league is really really close, and then obviously we've got the Champions League, and there's always that worry that it's technically like they've just had a preseason. Are they going to be coming back up and running straight away? But as a fan, I just can't wait to watch football every 3 days, and especially Juventus. You know,
Yeah, exactly. And
and
we're only 4 days away, right? The
yeah,
semifinal of the Coppa Italia, which is at going to be at the J Stadium on
yep.
June 12th. And
Hmm.
thankfully, that's a Friday. I know I don't know why they moved it that extra day. I guess maybe to give a little bit more time for the final, but it's on a Friday, and I get Fridays off, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, that's good for you. I mean, it'll be in the evening here for us, so yeah, I'll be off, and that'll hopefully be a great start to the weekend. Hopefully we beat Milan and on to the final we go.
Yeah, I've always found that was a weird dynamic. Just explain. Obviously, you guys like we watch hockey, obviously football, obviously at 5 to 8 o'clock, depending on where you're located. But
Right.
yeah, It's funny
I
how it
mean,
was always that you
yeah,
guys watch soccer, you guys watch football, calcio, whatever you want to call it, at like when we'd watch our national sports at times, but then we're
it's
like watching it in
crazy.
the afternoon
It's
for the
absolutely
most part.
crazy. I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess it's a lot of it's geared towards playing around about for us it's 7:45 p.m. around
Yeah,
about 8
exactly.
o'clock p.m. always when games are on. Obviously, in terms of the Premier League, that's played throughout the day sometimes, especially on the weekends. But when Juventus are playing, it's normally evening games, so it's either a 5 o'clock kickoff for us or 7:45 8 o'clock. So for me. I'm quite happy with that actually. It's when especially when we're always winning, yeah, it lets me go to bed nice and happy.
That is
It's
true. That is true.
normally a good end to the day.
So obviously then the next game, that next semifinal game between Merida and Napoli will be obviously the following day on the Saturday, and then the final being on the 17th of June in Rome at
Olimpico,
the
Olimpico.
Stadio Olimpico. Yes. So yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I kind of had a question for you in terms of how this works. It's kind of a very interesting way they designed it, where obviously we're not going to have to deal with the Coppa Italia during
Mm,
the season. Obviously, it's going to be very condensed.
yeah,
Some points playing every 3 days, and then obviously rumored the Champions League going to be in August. So
August,
does
yeah.
this I mean, for the fan, I think like everyone's been talking about, it's going to be a very interesting way to watch. It's just going to be like bang, bang,
It's
bang, one after the
non-stop.
other.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think in
I
terms
mean,
of do you
yeah.
think it's the perfect setup in terms of us finishing right before the Champions League starts, kind of being able to be in form, or do you think it's kind of a curse because we're going to have to play all these games in a row? And so, what's
Yeah,
your
it's
opinion
like
on
a
that, my friend?
I would say it's probably, I mean, firstly, I mean, having the Coppa Italia before Serie A starts, I think that's perfect. You know, hopefully we get a trophy in the bag. The confidence is there.
Exactly.
They've got some minutes in their legs, and they're ready to go straight away. Especially with our closest competitors, Lazio. Them not playing prior to Serie A starting. With the Champions League, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's like if Lazio fall away and we suddenly stroll to the end of the title, perfect. But
Yeah.
if we're playing if every 3 days fatigue kicks in, things like that, I think that's probably my only slight worry. I mean, as a fan, I can't wait. Honestly, I think it's a blessing that we're playing every 3 days. But in terms of the players, I worry. I worry about fatigue, especially with the heat, playing in the heat, especially with playing straight after not having played for 2 months. I think that's a little bit of a worry, and we've got kind of a team where there's a few big injuries,
Yep.
and I think that's what worries me a little bit. But there's only saving grace I feel with the Champions League is Leon will not have played. You know,
Ex- So yeah, so you're thinking that they're at the disadvantage of
certainly.
because I've heard a couple other people, and I mean, again, everybody's opinion I think is fair at this point because we don't know what to expect, right? Like that's kind of what worries me about the season is there's going to be teams that are going to be shot off like a cannon, and then there's
Yeah,
teams. So
exactly.
it's really going to be. I don't think it's as straightforward as anyone
No.
really thinks it's going to be. Obviously, we have the depth. I think. Well, I know we have a lot of players that are prone to injury, but looking at what we have, we
It's a deep
certainly have
squad.
the guns
Yeah.
to go the distance, right, and win
It's
this thing out. But
yeah.
I think it's going to
Certainly.
be interesting. Like I think there's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of shocks that
I
we're not
think
expecting.
I think so. I think the great thing though about it is, and having a squad like Juventus have is that there's going to be 5 substitutions, so the players should be able to stay fresh.
For sure. Yeah. That's
That thing,
good
and
change.
in terms of the season, how it's going to go, I have a feeling. I mean, as much as I have a dislike for Inter, they always start a season well. That's one thing about Inter, and it feels like it's a start of a new season again, even though we're halfway through. So I'm going to keep a close eye on them because I think they're going to shoot off like a cannon. A typical kind of Conte side, they start off with a host of wins and then they normally fade away. And I feel that will be the case with them. Lazio, I'm hoping they die down
Yeah.
because I feel at the time, I feel when the season cut off, they were really, really ahead of steam. They just would not stop winning, were they? And for us, I think for Juve, I think it's been a blessing, to be honest. Getting some time with Sarri, getting used to his tactics. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a different Juve straight away.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. Yeah, and I do feel bad for Lazio because it's like they really like this could either really ruin them or, I mean, who knows?
Exactly.
They could go back full steam ahead, but
Yeah.
it is when you have that momentum and then all of a sudden the end of the tracks come and you don't get to play anymore. It's really a change, and I mean everyone now teams are going to be coming back healthy too, so it's really going to be it really is going to be interesting. And then
Yeah.
maybe there's going to be some teams that aren't interested and don't care. So again, I think we're in for some very interesting football. And another thing that kind of came up is, which I'm hoping is not going to have to take place, but there's kind of been some news around what would happen if, let's say, there are cases and maybe there's going to be an outbreak or a second wave, people are calling it. And obviously, the option B would being a playoff. So obviously, that could be determined. Again, this is all speculative. Would it
Mm.
be between two teams? After what round are we talking about, right? So there would be a lot to determine. But again, a typical playoff could be the top two teams, top four, top six, who knows, right? And
Yeah.
then obviously there was this funny thing that they added of an algorithm. And I know Al from All Juve casted his video the other, and he was talking about how they would calculate it based off of, I guess, win percentage and a whole bunch of other stats. And obviously there would be no Scudetto winner, but I think that would just be the worst choice.
Oh, it would be
I really hope we don't get to that point.
it would be a silly way to end the season. I mean, look, I was reading today how the women's Calcio how that got abandoned. Essentially, the season's been abandoned, and Juventus were 9 points clear. That's a clear favourite to win the title,
Yeah.
and it wasn't assigned. But if that is the case, I would rather it be void rather than assigned via an algorithm. you know,
Well, I don't think anyone will actually win the Scudetto. They'll just
no,
assign for
it's a
basically
for a couple of
Champions
places
League. Yeah,
for the
exactly,
Champions League.
Champions
Yeah,
League.
exactly. In terms of the playoffs, I mean, I don't get that either. I mean, if it depends how the season finishes. I mean, if Juventus are 6 points clear, well, why should we have a playoff? We're the clear leaders.
Yeah.
If it's a playoffs with amongst the top four, well, if Inter, for example, are 10 points off, well, why are they allowed in the playoffs? I guess like that. It's 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 one of those situations where I think it's geared towards Juventus, not making Juventus favourites. Essentially, we all know it's a common theme. Everyone wants to stop the Juventus dominance, and I guess that's a protocol there to enable. Okay, people can say it's fair, but it
Yeah.
depends who's leading at the stage. For example,
Yeah, exactly.
If Juventus are second at 6 points off the top, then brilliant. It works in our favour. But you'd like to think Juventus will be taking the lead.
Yeah, exactly. And I really hope, like, I know Italian politicians and the government are very wishy-washy, and just even it even shows with picking the date of when we were all going to restart and stuff like that.
Oh no.
And then basically that they allowed people to, like, so basically society to open up again on the 3rd of June. So it was like, I really hope they're not like trigger happy and like one case like stirs the whole pod and like after one round it's like, oh yeah, but now we're gonna go to the playoff right away.
Yeah, I
I just
completely
think
agree.
I know it's gonna be hard, but I think they should be able to put in the work and get this done. And yeah, that was that obviously the alternative part was asked by Michael in the WhatsApp group, so thank you for that. He's from Holland and appreciate that. Now to Champions League. So you were saying that you don't think Lyon. The only thing I'm worried about Lyon is again
Hmm.
something where they're going to be able to study how we're playing at the
Yeah,
time, and they can just and it's only again it's going to be a
one
one
game. Yeah,
game. Obviously, we're down 1-0. So could they perform some? That's the only thing that gets me worried is
yeah.
they could come up with some like magic plan and just like sit back
You
or
just never
counterattack.
know.
You never know, right? So that's what
You never
scares me.
know. Yeah, the only thing that I would say is if you're looking at it, a team. that he's playing day in day out. Against other oppositions. The level of it's, for example, I like to
Right.
think of it as, when Juventus sometimes face the bigger teams in the Champions League, and this was over the course of the last few seasons where Serie A used to be a stroll for us. Let's be honest. Sometimes
Yeah.
the level isn't exactly as intense as we would have liked it in previous seasons. Then we used to come to the
Yeah.
Champions League and face say a Real Madrid or something, and it'd be like, wow, what a struggle. Juve would take ages to get up and running. Now I feel like that's going to be the case. I think when you're playing competitively day in day out, I think that's what gives you that competitive advantage over against Lyon. Them just playing in training matches, things like that. That level of competitive energy isn't going to be there, and I think that on the day mentally we will be more prepared. Physically, they may, they'll be great. They're going to be able to go 90 minutes non-stop because they're fully rested. But I think mentally we will have the edge at that stage.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you. I think yeah, the inform factor is going to be just too much for that. Even if they come out with some perfect plan, they're not going to
Exactly.
be the legs are not going to be there. But yeah, I know it's really looking like a very opportunistic season. I know
Certainly.
a lot of friends that I have that are fans of obviously Bayern or uh,
Bayern are
fans of
playing
the.
extremely well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're saying. But they finish, I believe, at the end of June. I want to say their season. So that's kind of my point is who's got it the right way? Is it better just to go in and play? Is it better to finish where we are? We're going to be a little bit too tired, or do you
Yeah,
think
I
the
get it.
Germans might have it because they might have a month off before they'll have to play? But they've obviously finished their season, so they won't have to worry about uh, any like big physical injuries in
Mm,
games like that. Maybe some stuff that happens in practice, but. Well, it's gonna be interesting.
it certainly will.
Which way is gonna help who the best, right? Which team the
Definitely,
best?
and I think the thing is, I mean, I'll probably go back to when we lost in Cardiff, and you've seen, say, Giorgio Chiellini talk about it, you've seen Bonucci talk about it, and it's about how we had a lack of energy. We were
Yeah,
exhausted towards the end of the season, and obviously I probably don't believe it because something went on in that dressing room.
I
Uh,
just hate hearing every time I hear that. It's just like a cringe, man. It's like,
Yeah, I was like, please
oh
don't
god.
say this. Please don't say this. But if that is the case, then they are exhausted. But we're now going to be fully rested. I mean, for example, the likes of Ronaldo, he's fully rested. You've got a live kicking Cristiano at this stage of the season. I mean, I don't think you can get any more of an advantage,
Yeah, exactly.
than having a fully rested Cristiano Ronaldo. And his motivation is always going to be there, and I genuinely feel that he's going to carry us towards glory this year. I mean, whether Champions League, whether we win it or not, I just feel that this guy is so motivated, and I just kind of get the sense, I don't know what it is, I can't put my finger on it, that the Juventus team are super motivated at the moment. Giorgio Chiellini's back as well. Okay, I know he's having some muscular fatigue and whatnot, but he's back. We've got Gigi, we've got Cristiano, obviously we've got Paolo. There's some leaders in the team, and I think that's what's going to carry us forward towards some trophies, hopefully.
Yeah, I think the Chiellini thing is just a matter of him not playing for such a like a long. He
Definitely.
came back after the injury. I know a lot of people were stressing over it, but I think it's nothing really to worry about. I think being match fit, and obviously torn ACL is pretty serious. So coming back, it takes a little bit of time. And again, I'm happy that he wasn't rushed in, and just take the because we're gonna need it, right? I think the training and the kind of how players are getting refreshed after each game and in between games and every few
Yep.
days is going to be one of the most key factors into what plays out. And yeah, no, I agree. I think it's almost feels like destiny, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Obviously, the Champions League final won't be played in Istanbul. It's really gearing towards Lisbon now, which has been reported in Bild, the German newspaper.
Yeah, I read
Um,
about that. Mm.
so obviously, I'm like I've explained last week or last podcast that there's going to be an executive assembly meeting on June 17th, and I think that's where everything's going to be determined where they want to have everything. I think it's kind of smart. They're going to give everyone the last eight tie or the outstanding ties that they had. I think those will be completed where they need to be completed. Obviously, Juve will be at home. Hopefully, that is the case. Um, and then obviously all the remaining 8 teams will play the quarterfinals and then obviously semis and the final in that one area. So I think it makes sense. It's proactive and yeah. What do you think about that? I think it's pretty straightforward. But
I think, yeah, I think it's a brilliant decision by them. You know, let the fixtures finish in wherever they're supposed to be played, and then yeah, and just do it the semi-finals and finals, you know, in one place. I think that's a very sensible decision by them. And if it's in Portugal, even better for us.
yeah, I know.
We'll have a very very motivated Cristiano. So yeah, I think that makes perfect sense for us. What was the in terms of say playing? What was the dates like in terms of for us playing our round of 16
See, I,
title?
I I know there's been this rumored August 7th. I don't want to say it yet because
Mm,
I mean I know it's like I said it's been rumored that August 7th is going to be the
yeah,
oh, at least the date that Juve plays. I would assume somewhere in there. Um,
yeah,
I would I would hope that they kind of gave Serie A a little bit of room,
it would be
even if
good.
it's
Yeah,
like the following week, right? But
hmm yeah,
I
week
don't know
to
how
prepare would be good.
that'll happen. I don't know if that'll happen, right? Because again, the Germans are going to be wanting to play uh, as fast as possible because they'll have their season done by then if everything obviously runs smoothly and nothing really changes. But
Mm.
so hopefully that's the case. But yeah, dates. I mean, and then obviously I think I've said last week that the final would probably be on the 29th or at probably the end of August just because the season is supposed to get back underway on the first, which is going to be this is going to be all very interesting once we get to that point of how
Because the
everything's going
transfer
to.
market opens there as well, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So I know there's been that's kind of the perfect segue into the next segment of being the transfer market, and yeah, now it's been rumored that the summer transfer window will open on September 1st to October 5th. So yeah, I think this is going to be really interesting because I was talking to Juventino for Life on Twitter, and we're kind of going back and forth about the financials and kind of I believe Roma had a loss of 143 million,
Yeah,
which was reported, and the financial period of for Juve ends always on the 1st of June. So I'm really curious to see. I mean, I think UEFA is going to be proactive and not really enforce FFP because of what's happened and the revenue losses and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be that'll be all moved forward. But so there, it's not like we're waiting to like balance anything. I know someone was saying that there's going to be there's a period where you can like balance your books by making transfers, but I don't like the concept of having this transfer window open, making it more difficult on top of having to organize all of this, where you're gonna have players going here and there, and then okay, is he allowed to play in the Champions League or not? I think it's just better you leave it till the end, extend it for have it for 2 months, obviously into the next season, and I think yeah, no, those are perfect. That's kind of what I've thought it was going to be. I hopefully that sticks,
yeah,
but
hopefully.
yeah, no, I like that, and it's weird how there's all these like everyone's like confirming deals and not confirming deals, and then the next day it's like the rumors. It's going crazy over
It
here.
it's yeah, it's I like to call it silly season, because that's exactly what it is. You know, we're linked to pretty much everyone. Every midfielder that there is in the
Exactly.
world, Juventus will get linked to. And look, you know, some of them might be true, and hopefully some of them are true. But when you hear certain names, you're like, oh, please don't let that be true. But in terms of the financials, look, obviously we're going to have taken a huge loss. I like to think that the 70% salary cut that we took, which was probably equates to what 90 million
Yeah.
euros. I like to think that would probably negate some of the losses that we'd probably getting because of COVID. But I guess yeah, we'll see what happens when the books come out.
So yeah, and I'm definitely going to be looking into doing a whole podcast on that because I find there's a whole bunch of numbers that get thrown out, and then people think this, that, and the other thing, and it's easy to look on Twitter and this person will report this, that. So I think, I'm really looking forward to that, and I think I have a couple people lined up for that podcast. So stay tuned.
Yeah, certainly.
But just in general, like, what do you think the transfer strategy is? Obviously, again, it's probably not going to be till September. But what do you see as Juve's transfer strategy? I know all of our a lot of our fans are calling for the midfield to finally be upgraded. But
Yeah.
what do you think?
I feel our transfer strategy this year is purely about capital gains. Yes, we will look to, obviously, as always, they will look to improve certain areas. They will try to get people out off the books, i.e., Higuain. He weighs heavily on us on the books, and it's all pretty much to probably avoid making a huge transfer, a massive sale. I guess the Pjanic, it will be centered towards swap deals. I think we've seen Romeo Agresti say, Di Marzio say, I mean, that this transfer market will be heavily focused on swap deals. And you can kind of see that already. I mean, with Roma,
Yeah.
how we're already discussing swaps. Cristante maybe coming in. I'm not too sure about him as a player. I mean, maybe great previously, but recently hasn't been too good. Yeah, I think he might add an upgrade to the midfield if we were able to ship off someone like Kadira. But even though I don't think that will happen, I think
Everyone's
we'll just be.
wish.
Yeah, I think the Pogba we will certainly be going for Pogba. I don't think there's two ways about it. Even if it leaves us in some sort of financial difficulty, I think they will make sure that deal happens if there's an opportunity to make it happen at a reasonable price. But other than that, I think yeah, it will be a swap deal. Pjanic holds value. Pjanic is the only player who's probably able to leave the team who holds significant value. I think we saw a snapshot today of the most valuable Serie A players. I mean, Rodrigo Bentancur isn't going anywhere. Dybala now isn't going anywhere. Cristiano isn't going anywhere, and De Ligt, obviously, he isn't going. So Pjanic is the only one who holds significant value for us at the moment. Maybe Demiral, I think his value is a bit high. I think Juventus. I think we might be in a bit of a shock with Demiral, because I have a feeling there's a lot of suitors for him, and obviously we're looking for upgrades in midfield. So yeah, I think we'll go back to our classic loan with obligation to buy, those moves again, and yeah, and some swap deals. How about yourself? What do you think our strategy will be?
I gotta agree with a lot of what you said. I think I was very, I would say, pessimistic on thinking a lot of the deals that were discussed. I mean, again, we got to we put ourselves in a bad spot with financially. So, and then obviously COVID-19 happens, and we really get in a bad position because the revenue's not there. So yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a lot of swaps. I think even the Pogba deal, I think it's very difficult. And I was actually shocked to learn listening to all Juve cast last night. That recent podcast. That yeah, Pogba's contract does expire in 2021. I did not realize that. So yeah, that is also even. I think that really kind of motivates us in a way that if they don't want to lose him, kind of thing, they're going to be a lot more
Yeah,
susceptible to deal with. So I think that's yeah, I know it definitely could be potential in Pogba. Now a lot of people say, do we need him? Do we want to spend that kind of money? I think you do look to bring a key piece like that in if you can. But yeah, again, I
yeah.
think it's just going to be minor things. I think it's just going to be getting the books in order, maybe getting rid of DeShilio. I'm surprised this story is still sticking. I'm shocked, my friend. I am
He
shocked.
was wanted by PSG,
Like
and now
it's
it's Barcelona. I mean, are we not seeing something?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna give him some steroids or something. I have no idea.
Take him
They're
for
gonna put
free.
him in
Take him for
like
free.
Captain America s, put him in
uh,
a
uh,
chamber and turn him into this jacked guy or something. I have no.
I don't know what he's got. To be honest with you, Cilio, I genuinely I think he's a good defender. I just think it's a mentality thing. I think playing for Juventus is too big for him.
Yeah,
He just makes too many high profile mistakes. But at times he seems so solid. He's one of those players that I think would probably be better suited as a centre back rather than a right back.
yeah,
That's what I feel with Dicilio. He's great in the tackle, but he just doesn't have much else to his game. So hopefully we can get rid of him. And I think Quadrado and Danilo will stay at right back. I don't think that's changing for us. I think we need to kind of get used to that. Them two will probably be our right back options going forward. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen on the left.
Yeah, I just wish we didn't have to put I know he's done a very good job for us. I was playing FIFA for like the first time in a really long time, and I looked and I was like Quadrado right back, and I'm like, oh God, yes, I guess he is
God,
right back.
yeah,
And I'm like, we got to fix that. But I'm
we
not sure
have
if
to.
that's gonna happen. Obviously in the
I
next
don't
window,
know.
but
Yeah, I think the outlay
um,
on Danilo was too much. In terms of the swap deal, I think
yeah,
Danilo will be the first choice. Really, Quadrado, I would prefer him as a sub, playing on the right wing. I think he
yeah.
does an absolutely brilliant job. So much pace to come on with. I think he's such a weapon. But I just feel that they're just going to continue using him as a makeshift right back.
So Rafa from the obviously the WhatsApp group, and who I'm
Yeah,
hoping to have on for the official Milan Juve preview, which will
yeah.
be in a few days. He asked, "What do you think of the Milik? Obviously, there's been rumors that he's had an agreement with Juve in terms of obviously a contract.
Hmm.
I'm just not completely convinced with this guy, especially hearing that he has he's had injury problems, obviously with
Yeah.
Napoli, and apparently he's got a clause of about 40 million, and I just do not think we should be giving that kind of money for a guy.
We certainly can't. We certainly can't be giving 40 million out on a guy like Milik. He's not a proven goal scorer. It's not like he scores 20 goals a season.
Right.
For the last 5 seasons. What I think is if we were to get him for say around 20 million, I think that would be a brilliant deal. Then I'd be very happy with it because I think he's perfect. What we need up top, it's clear now, and this is what frustrates me a little bit why we let Mandzukic go. Because I feel that's the kind of player we would actually need up top to get the best out of Dybala and Ronaldo. And this is why they want to bring someone like Milik in now. But yes, he's technically gifted. He can score goals. He's physically imposing. So yeah, if we can get him on a cut price deal, brilliant. But if it's 40 million, I think that's just a waste of money.
Yeah, I think it's way too expensive, way too expensive. And what about I know there's obviously still rumors, still talks about Arthur and Pjanic swap. What did you think of Pjanic? Like, what's your kind of thoughts on how he ended last season? And do you think now it's too late and we kind of have to move him, or what do you think? And then
Mm,
obviously on Arthur, how do you really rate him? And I think it's more of a George Mendes uh, kind of pushing for this because it's
yeah,
his player, and obviously
yeah.
he's Ronaldo's agent. And as soon as I found that out, I was like, oh, now it's all making sense to me. So what's
Yeah,
your opinion on that?
Firstly with Pjanic, I think Pjanic is such a wonderful footballer. I just feel it's a shame that he stayed. As brilliant as Allegri was, and forever thankful for what he did to Juventus, his methods are so ingrained into the likes of, and I don't think it's just Pjanic. I think those methods are ingrained into the likes of Bonucci. I think their methods are ingrained in the likes of Alexandro, and I also think those methods are ingrained in the likes of Pjanic. All three of those specifically, I think if we are to see the actual sorry goal that we want to see, it's those three who have to make the biggest change, purely because they're so used to passing back. Sorry wants to
Yeah,
see triangles going forward. These guys play triangles going backwards, and I think that's the biggest issue there. Technically gifted, Pjanic is amazing. He's absolutely sensational. But where do you actually play him? I've heard a lot about do we play him in behind the strikers as a tranquilista? No, I don't think he can play there because I don't think he has the energy to play in that role.
yeah, I agree.
He doesn't have the legs. Can he play where he's playing now? No, because I don't think he's got. Again, he hasn't got the physical attributes to play there. Yes, he's brilliant passer off the ball, but he's not a great tackler off the ball. Can you play him on the left? Can you play him on the right? Well, no, because again, that requires box to box energy, and he doesn't have that. And I think in the new Sari system, someone like Rodrigo Bentancur is perfect for that position. I don't think there's room for there's room for Pjanic anymore, and it's such a shame because he's given so much and he's been so loyal. You know, you can see he actually loves playing for Juventus and playing for the shirt. But if we can get a player like Arthur in exchange, well, the ideal one for me, it would be Verratti.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Verratti is made, or Jorginho. And I know a lot of people in the group chat might be against that, but I think Jorginho is the perfect fit. For this team to play alongside Rodrigo Bentancur. But Arthur, I think what would happen if Arthur's look, there's no two ways about it. He's so gifted. He's very, very gifted, and you can kind of see how good a player is by how their fans react. And I've been reading, you know, Barca Twitter, and they are going absolutely crazy. Like, why would we let him go? No, not him, not him, not him. But then what worries me is why are Barca trying to force him out the door so much? What are we not seeing?
It seems like they're really pushing. That's what scares me is they're really pushing. I didn't notice that actually about their fans. So it's a great point you brought up there. But
but the fans don't actually want him to leave. How about you?
It's weird.
What do you think about the deal?
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of the guy. I as soon as I found out that he didn't really want to come, and again they were pushing really hard.
Yeah,
I'm just like, this just seems too good to be. This seems like a bad thing waiting to happen on our end. But no, I'm not. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't really seen him play that much, so I can't really comment on his technical ability.
I've watched
But
a few of his games. I watched a few of his games, and you know,
but yeah,
he's technically brilliant, great dribbler, great pass off the ball. He's got bags of energy. So listen, in a sorry system, I think he'd be really, really good, but not the profile of midfielder that I feel that we need. It's a Jorginho, it's a Verratti that we need. If you're going to replace Pjanic, you need one of them too. I don't think.
well, and I think you're right in terms of if you're going to keep Sarri for another season, then I think Jorginho, knowing how he wants him to play and how he would fit in that position, I think that's kind of your go-to. I think it's a smart move, even though a lot of fans, like you said, might not be up for it. But yeah, I think that's. And what do you think? Like, if let's say we were to make this deal, there was a question on the group chat that also said, do you think it opens up to buy, like obviously to
Certainly.
get a couple more midfield players,
certainly.
or do you think that'll be like the end? Do you think that's kind of like the deal of the mercato?
I certainly don't. I think the only reason we are trying to ship that off is we're going to make some capital gains from it, which is brilliant. But also it leaves us with any cash that we do have available that is going to be spent on the big money signing, which is the Pogba deal. And I think that's what everything is gearing towards.
Oh, okay.
I feel that we're trying to balance the book so that we can go full on for Pogba because
I
there's
didn't
just too
expect
many
to say that.
rumors. No, I genuinely, that's what I don't think that will be the big money signing. I have a feeling there's two signings coming in midfield. One will involve a swap deal, but I'm not, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be Pogba. You know, Zaniolo his name is being touted a lot. You know, we've been after him for a little while. He was on Patrici's little list, and I have a feeling if he does become available, Juventus will snap him up. But again, we're going to need cash for that. So yeah, I think there will be two signings in midfield. I think we will see Rabiot leave, and I think we will see Pjanic leave. Khedira Matuidi will stay. Ramsey, I have a feeling he's going to stay as well. Unless Man United want him in the exchange for Pogba, which if they do, brilliant, take him. But yeah, no, I think we'll definitely sign two midfielders, I think.
Awesome. So just rattling, obviously some of the questions from the WhatsApp group, and I thank everyone on the group for surprising me and putting like a lot of questions in, and I appreciate that as always, and I'll definitely be reaching out again in the future. So thanks, guys. There was a question about Alexandro and should we get rid of him while we have the chance? And has he lost the passion for the shirt? And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I said it in an earlier response that I think he's fallen victim to the Allegri methods, and for a little while I saw that he was just too slow. He just feels like he doesn't want to attack at all. Brilliant defensively, absolutely monster defender. He just seems so slow going forward. Just always wants to pass back, and that was what was frustrating me. However, in the last couple of games, what I saw was the old Alexandro, and he really put in that shift. And that's what I want to see from him. But if we can ship him off, who do we bring in return? Is Pellegrini ready to come in and step in at left back? I don't see another left back out there in the world that guarantees us defensive solidity like Sandro does. Because what you got to remember is one thing is that we've suddenly become slightly more vulnerable at the back. We have, because, we're a more attacking team.
Exactly.
We're a more attacking team. Now, do we bring in someone like Alex Telles, who's brilliant going forward, but who's going to protect them? Ronaldo is not going to track back on the left wing. Telles not being the best defender, then you've got to play someone like Matuidi there. So that's why I would actually keep Sandro. Yes, I think he lost a bit of motivation, but I just think he needed some time to adapt to the new tactics. Who wouldn't? Sarri's system it takes teams, look, it took Chelsea over a year to get used to it.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of movement as well. You got to be moving a lot.
So much movement.
I think since we didn't have any real backup, he's just been run into the ground.
He's just played too much, so I think this break will do him great.
That's kind of what I thought. And I think with Allegri, just like you said, it got stale, and that's kind of why last season wasn't. It was really generally a stale kind of tactic.
It was, yeah.
In terms of everyone. So I don't really fault him for that. And I think he really hasn't had a chance. That's kind of you said it perfectly, who's going to replace him? I know a lot of fans were like, yeah, get rid of him. If I were to get rid of him, it would probably have been last year because there was big money being thrown around. Or again, everything's hypothetical, but there was hypothetically money being thrown around. So I think now you're not going to fetch that kind of money that we're looking for at this point in time, even though he is worth a lot. I still think he's worth a lot of money, and just teams aren't going to be willing to be able to pay 50, 60, 70 million for a left back. And then again, who do you replace? I always say that same thing. Like you said, it's easy to talk and say, there's tons of left backs out there, but at the end of the day, it's about who's willing to sell them. And I just find they're so hard to come by, left backs and right backs. It's really tough to find. So I think when you have them, you got to try and make it work as best as you can. And I agree. I wouldn't. I think Pjanic too. I think he would have been best sold a couple of years ago. I've been really critical of him as well, but I think right now it's, again, like we've been saying, swaps and stuff like that. Realistic defensive midfield options, I think we've kind of covered that. I think Jorginho and Verratti would be good. I really like Tonali, and I'm very disappointed in how Juve's been treating this. And even Zaniolo. I've been really, it just seems like management is not on the ball, and they haven't been on the ball, I think, for a few years now. So it's kind of disheartening that now we're going to be again, nothing's done. Obviously, transfer window, is it open, is it not? But it does seem like it's not going in our direction. So
I guess the thing about Tonali, the only thing that I would say about Tonali, I don't think he's the profile of midfielder that Sarri needs. And I think what Juventus are trying to do is guarantee success now. And I think when we look, you made a point about, all the board on the ball recently, and some of the decision making is okay, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? I just think everything's geared towards short-term success at the moment, and that's why I feel that we haven't pressed for Tonali. Yes, he's a brilliant talent. Yes, who wouldn't like him? However, is he the kind of player who's going to come in and slot into our team right now? No, because I think Rodrigo Bentancur is a better player than him. I think in that role, I think we've got what we need, and the management, the coach has the trust in him. I think the kind of midfielder that we need is, i.e., the likes of maybe someone like a Jorginho. Of course, you need a passer, but also someone maybe like a Partey. Now, Partey is the kind of player that I would love in our team, an absolute destroyer.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the profiles we're looking for. I don't think Tonali is that profile. It's going to be either a player who's more box to box, to
a better version of Matuidi.
Yeah, basically, it's going to be either that, but maybe the likes of Zaniolo, someone like Zaniolo who can kind of Arthur, who's going to get forward, a Pogba-esque, and at the same time we're also looking for someone to come in and sit in front of the defense, because I think Rodrigo, if we get a Jorginho or get a Verratti, I think Rodrigo will move over to the left hand side. in the end, I think he will move
Oh,
over to the
okay.
left, and I feel it will be. I think we're going to end with Jorginho, Bentancur, Matuidi, Khedira, and Ramsey. I feel that's going to be the overall midfield. I'm hoping we add one more in there. I'm
Yeah.
hoping there's another in there, but I just feel like that's what we're going to end up with. I think Ramsey is the key. I think Ramsey is, if he stays fit, I think he's absolutely brilliant. His link-up play going forward, I think he will take Khedira out of the team straight away.
Well,
Um,
I definitely hope that's the case.
yeah, I think everyone does, and I only think the only reason it's rumored Khedira's playing this week is only because Ramsey is not. He's not fit enough. Otherwise, otherwise he wouldn't be there. And this is the thing.
Yes.
Asari's
Oh, yeah,
system needs
exactly.
someone who, yeah, Asari's system needs someone who's going to get into the box. You know, remember Hamsik. You know, how many goals did Hamsik use to pop up and score? Because that's the kind of midfielder you had. He had an Allen, he had a Jorginho, he had a Hamsik.
Yeah.
You know, Izzy Zielinski. You know, you need that's what Sarri needs. You know, those players. You know, short passes, get into the box, someone who can track back. So yeah, Tonali, I just don't feel like he's the profile we're looking for at the moment.
No, fair point. Very fair point.
I think,
Before we kind of ended on the transfers, I kind of wanted to bring up kind of a topic that's obviously very prevalent, journalism.
mm,
Um, you know, after a bunch of high profile, interviews with Romeo Agresti and you have the big names like Gianluca Di Marzio and Fabrizio Romano. And it's kind of funny because we take, it seems like you look at Juve Twitter and like Footy Twitter and it's hilarious how it seems like every other day the needle's moving, right? And
definitely.
you look at the deal for Kumbula, who's a defender from Verona,
Mm.
and I swear the other day it was 32 million. We had locked him in, and as of me checking about an hour ago, Inter is now somehow ahead of us. So it's just crazy. I think a lot of it is, a lot of these guys. I'm not trying to accuse them of like doing it for clicks, but I think there's a very heavy, you know,
Certainly.
touch
I
of putting like, you know what I mean? Because you only know so
I get
much. I
it.
mean,
I get it.
as good as these guys are at their job. I mean, everyone, you're only getting the information you've been told, right? And relaying it and the connections
Exactly.
you've made, right? So it's like it seems like it's like you look at the Arthur saga and all that. So it's hilarious to see all of the stuff that's been coming out, and I think people are getting excited too quickly when we don't. Again, the transfer window won't be till September, potentially, and it's like then you look at the Chelsea, the Timo Werner move. Chelsea thought it was locked up, and then like the day it was locked up, and then the day later, RB Leipzig was like, "Yeah, by the way, that hasn't happened." So I don't know what they're talking about, but they've got an agreement with the player, so it's just been kind of a circus almost.
I think that's the thing about it. As I said, it's silly season. You know, sometimes there's slow news days, and you just see a random interview, pop up from either
Yeah.
Romeo or Di Marzio or my favorite Momblano,
Yep. I
who
forgot
comes
to
out
mention him.
with
Yep.
fairy tales. But yeah, look, and sometimes you are like, okay, well, is there? What are you actually telling us? It's near here or there. Who is
Yeah.
the favorite for them? But if I was, for example, if you were to rank them and who do I feel the most confidence in when they talk, I would say Agresti. I certainly I have the confidence in him. Di Marzio, I just feel he's more geared towards Inter. Um, and yeah, I'm not sure. I think he's kind of starting to maybe lose a tiny bit of credibility. But Agresti, I would say, is number one. And then obviously, the one who I love hearing from is Momblano because I feel like Momblano is just a Juventus fan talking about fantasies. And I love hearing it. I'm like, yeah,
He's like the
perfect.
little voice in the back of your head. He's like,
Yeah, exactly. He's like, according to him, Guardiola's already coaching us. How about you? Who do you feel the most confident
you know what? To be honest, I think it's such a difficult job. Like
in? Yeah,
I hate the transfer market seasons. It's probably my least favorite part about the sport. But um, I think it's all valid, right? Like certain people, I'm not going to say that people are assuming different things, but I think there is a part of that. Like how you want to tell a half truth or how you want to represent what someone's told you that is friends with so and so that talk to this person, right? It's very like I said, it's a very difficult job, but it's also something where I always say the only thing that I care about is the official announcement from the government, and sometimes that isn't even good enough because when we have the situation with Axel Witsel and stuff like that, where we thought the medical was done and then the deal basically falls through. So
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I follow pretty much all of the major accounts on in news and in obviously all of the papers, obviously Gazzetta dello Sport and Tutto Sport. But again, a lot of the times it's a biz. You got to think too. It's a business too, right? And they got to sell newspapers,
exactly,
and they're going to
exactly.
do it. And again, same with these guys, right? They get ad revenue by how many clicks and stuff like that. So I mean, it's all I think at the end of the day, it's all up in the air until the guy has the jersey in his hand and they're doing the press conference. That's my opinion. So, but yeah, no, I've never been a fan of this season, to be honest.
I completely agree with that.
But let's get into a little bit. We'll kind of get briefly into the Coppa Italia game that's about to come up, and I don't want to get too heavily
Sure.
because obviously me and Rafa I think are going to be going over it. But
Look forward to it.
kind of what do you see? How do you see it playing out? Obviously Zlatan won't be there for Milan because of his injury. I think they're going to be coming out in the Christmas tree formation 4-3-2-1.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're going to be playing 4-3-3. Obviously at home, but not really at home. Kind of, how do you see it playing out? And maybe give us your prediction.
Well, if I go by way of prediction, I'm going to say Juventus are going to win. I think we will win comfortably. I genuinely feel that we will win comfortably. The only reason I say this, if I'm going back to the Inter match, I just felt that if once we went 1-0 up, did you see the confidence we were playing in? That was Sarri-ball,
Yeah.
That was the team that had clicked. And that's what I really feel that we're going to take into this game. I just feel that Juventus are going to come out on another level. The only bit that worries me is that's my gut instinct that we're going to come out, we're going to play some good football, and we're going to put them away. Zlatan not playing is brilliant. That big imposing presence because the guy's got the ability to do magic. He's just Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We're obviously the stronger team. It's like coming straight out of preseason. What's going to happen? It's a bit of unknown.
Yeah.
We've got that. My gut instinct tells me that I've got confidence in Juventus. I don't fear Milan. I don't think they've got the weapons to hurt us. Whether if we were coming out and having to play Inter or Lazio, I'd be like, oh, okay. I'm slightly nervous. I don't have any nerves against AC. We've got the away goal. I feel we will go ahead pretty quickly. The only bit that worries me is Matuidi and Kadira playing. I don't see how you can play Sarri ball with both of them in a team. Kadira touches the ball probably 20 times at the match. Matuidi can't hold on to the ball, longer than 2 touches. And this is what worries me slightly. I would have been a lot more confident, say, if a Ramsey was playing, instead of Kadira, because I just feel a bit sorry for Rodrigo Bentancur. He's going to try to play a quick 1-2s or whatnot, and it's going to go to Sammy, and Sammy's just going to pass it to the side, or he's going to go to Matuidi, and he's just going to pass it to Ronaldo or run into someone. That's what worries me.
Well, and even on the defensive end too, right? Like I swear I don't know how many games like it seems like he just does it all the time. He doesn't mark coming back on the defensive end,
At
and
all.
we've let I don't know how many goals in. I know Parma just sticks out. Game against Parma sticks out in my mind clearly, but yeah, I know it seems like obviously we've been saying with all these games going to be kind of condensed and packed in. That now obviously Ramsey is being looked at, and he's in his own program now, and same with Chiellini. Obviously, we've said. I've heard Dybala. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait a couple of days because the news changes.
He's saying he's not 100% fit. He said himself.
Yeah.
But I think Dybala starts.
I think. Yeah, I think that's I think he's going to play. Obviously, we're going to have Buffon in goal. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Someone was trying to troll on Twitter, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he's trying to blame Buffon. But anyways,
Oh, come on. You can never, Gigi can do whatever he wants. He can never be
exactly.
explained.
But yeah, no, and then who else? I believe so. It's Chiellini. Higuain
So
has
we've got
also had
Higuain,
fitness
yeah.
fitness
And,
issues. So
and obviously Demiral, he's out as well, but he's making good
exactly.
progress. I don't expect to see Demiral playing many games between now and the end of the
So
season.
Felix asked also again from the WhatsApp group, what do you think if Bernardeschi has to play in his original position? Obviously, that would be
Well, on the
a
wing,
winger. So,
yeah,
what do you think? Do you
I
think
think
that's going to happen for this game, or do you
I,
think
I,
it'll
I,
be?
I don't think specifically for this game. I think Douglas Costa is starting unless he picks up an injury between now and then, which is obviously possible. Which is possible. He can pick up an injury sleeping. No, I think Juventus are going to go for the jugular. I think Sarri's been waiting in order to be able to play them, and I think the thing is about playing them three up top. The reason why Sarri might feel he can do it is because Matuidi and Khedira are playing. Because look, I know we all bash Sammy Khedira and whatnot. Sammy is always in the right place. That's one thing about it. He kind of brings a balance to the side,
Yeah,
and look we do criticize him, but let's look at it. In every team he's played for, under every coach, he starts.
yeah,
Even for Germany, up until not long ago, he was starting. You know, this guy has an ability to be in the right place at the right time. Yes, his technical ability might not be there as much anymore, but if you look at it from the seasons when he first came to Juventus up until now, who scores our most goals from midfield? You know, it's since Sammy's been here. It's Sammy
right.
Khedira who scores quite a lot of goals. You know, and the reason why is because he's in the right place at the right time. And I think that is why we're going to play those front three attacking wise, because defensively, Matuidi and Khedira kind of give us a bit more solidity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But yeah, in regards to Bernardeschi, I'm a big fan. I was a big fan. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed now because he just hasn't lived up to his potential. I thought he was going to be a superstar. I genuinely, at one point, I thought this guy would take Dybala's place in the side because he had the physical attributes, he had the technical attributes, but I don't think he has the mental game to play for
yeah,
Juventus. And I think for a team, if he went to a team like Roma, I think he'd set the world alight. Just like he plays for Italy, he plays brilliant for Italy. He just can't do it for Juventus. But yeah, look, him playing on the right wing isn't such a bad thing. If he can produce a performance like he produced against Atletico and start producing them regularly, my God, that would be amazing.
winter's, as they say for Khedira, winter's January signing.
Oh, yeah. He's a guaranteed signing. But yeah, look, there'll be so much rotation. Every single one of them needed. From the likes of Dicilio, he's definitely going to be needed as well. It would have been great Higuain playing. I'm a fan of Higuain. He gives
Yeah.
a lot to the shirt. I think a fully fit Higuain is brilliant. But Douglas Costa, nobody can do the damage that man can.
Yeah, especially against Moscow. I mean, that's kind of the main reason why I bought our third jersey was because of that one goal he scored where he went on that run. It was just unbelievable.
I love that jersey. I love that jersey.
But
Yeah, no, I think it'll be them three up front, and Bernardeschi will come on. Will come on for either Dybala or him.
yeah, and I think like you said, I think we have to start using everyone. I think it's not we don't really have a choice in the matter, even if let's say we don't particularly like Khedira, which is my opinion. But I think yeah, we're gonna have to use everyone at our disposal because we don't know what problems we're gonna run into, and we have to be really flexible. I think even as stubborn as Sarri is, I think he'll even realize and admit that it's gonna be a lot of football. So we gotta get use out of our players at least for the
Yeah.
short term, right? Then after the season, I will escort Khedira into retirement.
No,
But until now,
I can assure you, Khedira will be here next year.
oh
He
no,
will
he's
not.
he's definitely collecting that 6 million. I mean, he's definitely collecting that check. But
Why
just
wouldn't you?
just a prediction from you, Adele. I know
Prediction wise.
I'm gonna obviously I'm gonna hold mine because we still have a few days before we do
Yeah,
that one.
okay.
But
If I can
I
go,
kind of know, but I kind of know what I have in
If I
mind the
was
score,
if I
but
was to go for my prediction, I would say I'm going to go 3-0 Juve. And if I was to say who's going to score, I feel Dybala and Ronaldo, and two for Ronaldo. That is going to be. I don't think we'll see goals from midfield. I don't think we've got the midfielders who will be scoring goals for us. I think it will be Dybala and Dybala one, Cristiano two. I don't see Milan having. Unless, look, there's a freakish handball, someone parries something. I just don't think they've got the threat to take us, to take us out at this stage. I just feel we'll be too hungry. We'll just have too much for them.
all right. Yeah, and then what do we do the season? I know I'm gonna have a season restart preview or whatever you want to call it, but how do you think? Obviously, I'm gonna assume you're gonna say Juve is gonna win the title, but how do you see the
Yeah,
top four finishing?
yeah. Well, my heart says Juventus are going to win the title, but also my head, to be honest, I think, as I said earlier, look, I think Inter are gonna shoot off like a cannon. We have to, I think what is the difference? 6 points, is it?
Yeah,
I think
I
Inter
think
will
so.
come in hot. I have a feeling Lazio are going to fade away. I just think, it's that thing about mental energy. They had built up to a stage where they were getting so close to Juventus, and then this came, and it's quite hard to get up and running again. You know,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that is the difficulty. There's we'll see. Let's see the champions in the side, because at this stage of the title race, this is where championship mentality comes into play, and I just feel that we've won so much. I just think it's just going to push us over the line. We just won't stop. Whereas them, the pressure of taking down the dominance of Juventus is a huge thing,
Yep, it
and I
is.
think that's going to weigh on them. And I genuinely feel, I know they've beaten us. I know they've beaten us convincingly, but I just think we just took them too lightly on both those occasions. I think they'll see
Yeah.
the real Juventus step up. Um, it just kind of reminded me of the Inter match. If you remember back in the day, when we had Conte as our coach, even Allegri. Remember the big matches when Juventus, it doesn't matter who the competitor was, they're challenging us for the title. They would come to our stadium, and what would we do to them? We'd brush
Just
them aside.
batter. Yeah. Oh
We'd
yeah.
just brush them aside. We'd just come out too hungry. And the Inter match showed that to me. I was like, you know what, this side still got it. We've got the leaders in our team, and I just think I think it will be close. It will be close. I don't think they're going to fall away too much. In the end, I feel if I was to say Juventus will obviously win it, Inter will be second, and I think Lazio will finish third.
Oh, okay. So you think they'll still stay up there though, as they'll still stay in the Champions League spots?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
certainly.
who do you think will be on that last one? Do you think it'll be Roma, Atalanta, maybe
I
Milan coming
I
up, or
I
Napoli?
wish I hope it's Atlanta, because I just got such a soft spot for them. I think what they're doing is amazing. For limited resources, the football they play, they cause us so many problems. I think we've got a game against them, haven't we?
Yes.
I'm glad there's going to be no fans, because God, those guys, they just don't stop running. They play some amazing football. But yeah, no, I would say top four. Top four would be Juve, Inter, Lazio, and then Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I think you got to. I feel bad for them as well. I mean,
Yeah,
they're already in the next round of the Champions League, which is sounds so weird coming out of my mouth, but yeah, it's yeah, they play an amazing brand, and I've always thought that Gasparini never really had a fair shake, which I'm happy because that means that Inter had a horrible run during that time when he was coaching them so briefly. But no,
yeah,
I think a lot of coaches are a lot. He was underrated quite heavily, and I'm happy to see him doing well. But yeah, hopefully, like you said, we have a good game against, because that'll be a tricky match as well.
yeah,
Obviously, if let's say the season doesn't come to a success, do you think Sari gets another season to prove himself? That's
yeah.
a question from WhatsApp.
I certainly think Sari's staying. There's no. I just do not see why we would have brought Sari back to get rid of him after a year. The only way I see is if Guardiola's available and he's ready to come to us. But I just think Guardiola is going to stay another year, couple of years, and then he will make the move. Um, and it's not necessarily that he's going to make the move to Juventus. Inter have got the finances. You know, they are up there. You know, they're going to be our most serious threat going forward, and I think it's brilliant because we need competition in terms of revenue generation, just in terms of just having someone, you know, a big competitor. I think it's brilliant to have that in the league. But I think so. I think we've got Sarri for another couple of years comfortably. You know, let's not forget the football that man played at Napoli. We've never seen the likes of that kind of football in Serie A before.
Right.
You know, he took on the best of the best, and my God, you know, okay, yes, he didn't win with them, but he's got superstars at Juventus, and we've got players with much more technical ability. And we've got the machine Cristiano, and you know we've got Paolo.
Yeah.
You know, we got the prodigal son and Paolo. You know, look what he's done for him this year. That alone should show us exactly what Sarri can do. You know, look at Paolo was. I mean, do you remember him from last year? He was. Oh my God, I felt so sorry for him last year. Honestly,
Yeah. Oh,
you know
tell me
what?
about it.
Genuinely, it got so bad, and I love Paolo so much. You know, he's by far my favorite Juventus player in the current crop. I mean, okay, I take away Gigi doesn't count for me. Gigi doesn't count because where he is
It's an
nobody to me.
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And even Giorgio Chiellini, you know, I don't think
Yeah.
they count. But if I was to say Paolo, is that honestly, it was verging on. I was just thought to myself when he was at United, I thought, you know what, actually, I think we could actually do without him. I just didn't feel that he was that key to us. At the end of last year, I just thought, oh, okay, hang on, we're still winning without him. Why would we actually need him? If we can cash in, let's do it. But no, not right now. I think we've seen the real Paulo Dybala again.
Yeah, no, I think what I noticed though is that he was very key when he came on, and he brought the energy. That's what I really like to see,
Yeah,
is even though he wasn't getting the rub from the coaching staff, it was that just
I
the
agree.
energy that he brought on, and now obviously what he's done, obviously in the shortened season that we've had so far, and obviously now that it's going to come back.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I think for Sari, I think a lot of people say had said it well on Twitter, and that's that he doesn't really have his team. And I know a lot of people didn't necessarily thought that they're getting an Allegri style coach. And I think obviously if that was the case, if that's what the management thought, then they did a horrible job, because they should have known how stubborn he was. But I think, yeah, like he definitely needs to be given. And obviously the fact that we haven't addressed the midfield problem, even though we've gotten Rabiot and Ramsey, I thought that was more of a band-aid than anything.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think definitely give them another chance. Um, unless, like you said, someone that we're really looking for comes up. And I honestly think that even if we had Guardiola this year, I don't see us playing
I agree.
uh,
I completely
in
agree. We just don't have the
in
players
any
for it.
better of a way, because,
Yeah.
like I said, to have them to play the style that they need to have, you need to have the proper midfield, and I've always said that, and I stand by that. So
Exactly, and I think the key thing that you know, look, we as fans, you know, it's all about heart. Sometimes we forget about all the other elements that go into running a football club. Juventus is not run like a sugar daddy club, you know, where you know, yes, we've got billion-dollar owners, you know, they earn so much money, but they're not going to pump millions into our club like you know, for example, like the PSG's would or the Man City's would.
right,
That's just not going to happen. We're run as a business to become profitable and self-sustainable. Now, if you have a look at it, like Patrici, look, he's still relatively young in terms of the role that he's actually doing. You know,
right,
Beppe was so much more experienced than him. So, you know, in any job, people are going to make certain mistakes. People are going to make, you know, some brilliant ideas, you know, are going to come out. And I think we've just got to give him a bit of time. He's still finding his feet in his role, as is Nedved as well. And I think going forward, what if we have a look back at what they have done for the team, I think it's brilliant. I mean, like the Ronaldo deal, that was all Patrici, you know.
yeah,
You know,
exactly,
he made sure that deal happened. Yes, it was a risk, but look what it's done to us as our profile as a club. It's just taken us to a whole new level. And I genuinely feel if coronavirus hadn't come, we would have had made a huge big money signing in midfield. I feel Pogba would have been here because if you look at it, Ronaldo, De Ligt came. What was next? It was always going to be another big money signing because we're looking at players who are going to a improve our technical, you know, in terms of technical aspect of the team, but also you're going to generate us revenue, shirt sales, you know,
yeah, exactly.
raise the profile of the club. So yeah, I mean, whether Pogba comes out now or not, who knows what's going to happen there. You know, Real Madrid will always be in the hunt for him as well. But I
Right.
just think we just need to stick with Patricio, and I think the fans, as fans, we also need to think about some of the financial elements of things. You know, but sometimes that gets lost in translation because you know you just want the best for your team, but
Right.
sometimes the best for your team is, well, hang on, if we have to go through a mediocre transfer window in order to stop us getting sanctioned by financial fair play next year, well, by all means, do it. You know, it is as fans, it is, you know, we just want the best for our team. But yeah, that's why sometimes on Twitter and whatnot, you know, you see so many angry fans and you just start laughing because you're like, well, if you sit back and think about it, well, you know what, we actually need to balance the books. If you looked at our wage bill, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I always I'm like, wait, hold, don't put the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
there's a lot of people I know that they're throwing around the FIFA Ultimate Team ideas that come out of
Yeah,
Twitter, but yeah, no, it's definitely something that we need to be careful of because you don't want to get that ban like Man City. I
no.
mean, Man City is
Ugh.
they're the Teflon Don in a sense because they seem to have been getting away with a lot of stuff, and I mean, we still don't know what the solution or the actual outcome of that. Because I'm
Exactly.
sure they're going to appeal to
Of course they are.
the Court of Arbitration of Sports, so that's still going to be a little
I
ways
think that
down.
started. I think the CAS
Oh,
appeal
has
has
it?
started.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something on BBC News. I think it started either this week or the coming week that they're going to start that. But what's going to happen? Because again,
Right.
with COVID and whatnot, I mean, what are you guys going? What's going to be the decision? You know,
Yeah.
is it going to
And
be a
then are they going to
successful
give?
appeal?
Yeah. Are they going to give
What's the
leeway
sanction
to
going to be?
teams? Yeah.
Yeah,
Are they going to give leeway to teams now that obviously might be going down a certain path? Like obviously Barcelona's had a lot of debt as well, and that's been rumored. But obviously something to talk about revenue. I don't know if you've recently seen Juve always just unveiled their 2021 training gear and their
oh,
like
it's amazing.
anthem jacket, and I got to give them props where it's due, and it's actually
It's
really
beautiful.
nice.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
it's something I would definitely wear. So I did. As soon as I saw it, I popped it in the group as well. And you know, it's I think everyone just likes it. But yeah, look,
Unlike the
I'm
jersey.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not sold, especially on that third kit. I'm
Yeah,
not
I don't know
quite
what the
sure.
hell that was
The
all
second
about.
kit I'm in love with. I think it's brilliant. I think the first kit is better than this year's
Yeah.
kit.
I think I'll get used
But
to it.
yeah, but I think yeah, at least we're going back to fuller stripes.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think I'll get you. I think obviously, like I tell everyone, I'm addicted to this stuff, so it's like I'm gonna buy it anyways. So it's not
Exactly.
really, even though I might not necessarily be my A1 kit, but it's yeah, no, I'm sure that one will improve. But yeah, no, definitely they put in the work. I mean, kind of they have like a eggshell, if you want to call it, with like pink accents on the UV uh,
Yeah.
details and stuff like that, and they also have just right the black and white kind of Adidas stripes back and forth on each shoulder. So that's pretty cool, and yeah, I think that's a good start to go back into. And yeah, that jacket just looks slick, all black, and yeah, no, I think they did a really good job with that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Certainly.
definitely pick that up at your local Juve store. Support the team.
Sadly, don't have a Juve store here, but I'll have to just purchase it online.
Oh, me too. But now, thankfully, they've given those options. Unlike
Yeah.
their tickets that they, unlike the tickets that
Oh
they
wow.
make a pain in the ass to buy, they're actually giving like free shipping and stuff like that for all of us in like North America and
That's brilliant.
other bigger locations now. So I'll take that. I'll take it.
Yeah.
But just to wrap up, kind of a tradition for anyone who has been to the Juve Stadium,
Mm.
which I like to call it that. I don't like to put no brands in front of the name, but something we do here at the Back to Black and White podcast is kind of reminisce about the first time that we've been to the stadium, and who was playing and kind of the pre-match experience. And yeah, man, the floor is all
Yeah,
yours.
sure, sure. I mean, I won't talk. I mean, my most memorable. It probably wasn't even the first time I went. It was when we had the Stadio degli Alpi, and I was very young. I couldn't even probably remember the age I was, but I was in Turin. Del Piero was still playing for us. Which was amazing. It was probably, hang on, if I go back to it, when we had Patrick Vieira as well in the side. So yeah, it was a long time ago now. If you had it, and we're outside the team hotel because the thing is in Turin, and I don't know what it's like. I mean, obviously now they will probably be at the J Hotel, but before games they always used to be at this one specific hotel, and we were staying directly opposite it. So what would happen is everyone before they're about to board on the bus, they'd kind of clear the whole hotel. Everyone would kind of step outside. And so obviously I went there, stood in line, just to get a glimpse of the players. And actually, no, sorry, my apologies. They weren't actually coming out. They were actually going inside. They were
Oh,
actually
okay.
going into the hotel. So what all that happened was, and I was only really young. I was quite overweight at the time as well, so this little fat kid outside. Outside this hotel, waiting for a glimpse, and it was always Del Piero who I wanted a glimpse of. So and all I see is a car just drive past, and my sister turned around. She went, "That's Del Piero." I went, "What?" And she went, "That's Del Piero." I just started running. I just ran,
Booked it.
and so literally I just chased this car. And what it did, it just went down the road, turned right, and it went straight into a car park. Now
Okay.
there was security outside, and they were shouting in Italian. But listen, I just didn't listen. I was only a kid, and it was just Del Piero for me. So I run down, and the car stops, and I'm still obviously trying to catch up to the car because I was slightly overweight. And up out pops Del Piero, and literally he says 1 minute, goes to the boot, picks out his obviously it must have been gym bag,
Right.
whatnot, and puts the bag down. And he signs my shirt, signs my little autograph book, and taps me on the head. And I tell you, no word of a lie, it was one of the best moments of my life. Honestly, it was just just to see like he actually took the time to do that.
Yeah, and I think
And
he's been quite honest about giving back to the fans and
it's so
showing his
nice.
appreciation,
It's
right?
so nice because obviously the security guards were chasing me as well, and he was just like, "Look, this it's fine, it's fine," whatever he said in Italian. And honestly, it was one of the most amazing, surreal experiences. You meet an idol like that, especially for me at such a young age. It's something I will never forget, to be honest. And yeah, so that was my experience, and obviously, the Delhi Alpi was. I mean, look, I much prefer the new stadium. It's modern, it's
Right.
beautiful. You're so close. It's more like a Premier League stadium. When you're on top of the team, and you can kind of, you get a real grip into what's going on in the game. You can actually see. Whereas the Delhi Alpi, you were so far back. You used to kind of
Right.
just watch the games off the screens. Uh, it was so difficult, but you know what? It holds its own. The Delhi Alpi does. It's history. But yeah, how about yourself? Have you been able to catch any of the matches? Because obviously, I know you're quite far away. So in terms of traveling, it must
Yeah, well, like I
must be
said,
quite
like I
difficult.
said in the first one, it was honestly, I'm actually just like, I'm jealous. I'm a little jealous of the whole situation, man. Like that was all. That's awesome. Yeah, unfortunately I was obviously in Canada, right? So
Yeah,
it does take
a
a
good few
hop,
hours.
skip, and a jump just to get over there, and it was unfortunately I wasn't able to watch Del Piero live, or I mean in person. Hopefully I'll be able to meet him one day. I know he's down in LA and he's
Yeah,
been
he is, isn't he?
to the restaurant a few times there, his restaurant with the fans. So hopefully I'd be able to do that. But yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I think
Yeah, no, it was.
how how was like in terms of when you went to the Del Alpi, was it pretty easy to get like the tickets and whatnot? Like, do you
So
kind
yeah,
of
I mean,
remember
the Delhi Alpi, it was so much easier. I mean, you could turn up to Turin, and there used to be shops there where you can go in and you can purchase your
going
tickets.
in?
It was so much easier. Whereas now, I mean, the tickets are stupidly priced. It's let's not be around the bush there. It is extortionate, but at the same time, I just feel that I know how much cheaper can they make the tickets because look, we're running a football club at the end of the day.
Right.
But if I look at Premier League, if I look at the Premier League, I'm in the UK. People get tickets for ridiculously cheap. I'm just like, why is it so expensive at Juventus? Why is it that much? It is a bit silly. But yeah, no, it was so much easier to get tickets back for the Deli Alpi, probably because there was so much room and not many people used to turn up. But
Yeah, tell me.
it was a
Besides the
lot.
curva, besides the curva sud there.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it was really easy to get tickets back then.
Yeah, and I mean, it must be nice being in the UK and being able to. I was amazed at how cheap your guys' flights are all around Europe. It's like ridiculous. I mean, obviously,
It's ridiculously easy.
we're not talking about necessarily luxury airliners, but still, it's unbelievable how
Yeah, I
the
mean, you're trying to get
access around the
everywhere within like
continent.
an hour or two, and that is a great benefit of being here. But I think one of the things that I'd like to do is go to a Juventus game with some of the fans. Some of the guys from our Juventus group chat. It would be amazing if we could all, not all of us, but whoever could, whoever has got the
Yeah,
money to got the
exactly. I
time
was
to catch
definitely
a game
looking into
together.
that.
I think that would be something like that would be ultimate, Juventus fan club thing, to catch a game. But again, when you look at it, it's because everyone's based around the world, it does become difficult. But I guess the great thing that we do have is having that group chat, having that community, where you can share so many things about Juventus and also just get friends in real life. I think that's one of the things that I've got from the Juventus group chat is that there's some guys in there who I've made great friends with. And we chat
Yeah,
about family
exactly.
sometimes. You chat about a host of other things, and I think that's and credit to guys like yourself who have made that possible for us.
Well,
So
thank you.
thank
I
you.
mean, I'm just like I said, like I've said in the beginning, I'm just a small part, and whatever part that may be, I hope to, entertain and, just give an outlet for fans. And obviously,
Definitely.
I really like the idea that Al of all UVCast established and bringing in fans who you don't necessarily hear all the time because I
Exactly.
think in life when you're hearing all these talking heads all the time, it's like okay, we need a new kind of fresh take at times because it's just getting monotonous and it's all the same. And to hear stories like yours where you get to go to Torino and meet Del Piero, one of your idols, my idol, it's great to hear and talk about and share stories and
Yeah.
things that necessarily didn't happen. Like I said, for me, it was the ticketing experience was horrible. That's why I asked you.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, it was just like it declined like 3 times. I had a credit card that was like basically brand new, full, no credit used on it, and
And
it
it
just
got
didn't.
declined.
And it just didn't want to go. I don't know if it was maybe because it's a Canadian bank, obviously Italian ticket
Yeah.
site, but yeah, I
Yeah.
just did not want to go, and I was like,
Oh, mate.
and I thought I lost it at that. I was like, I thought I wasn't gonna be able to go, and that was like specifically one of the obviously it was a school trip slash vacation slash
Mm,
going to see Juve, so I tried to combine a couple things. A lot of people in North America, try and make it over there
of
for
course. Yeah.
a good chunk of time, right, to make it
Yeah.
worth the money spent to come
And
over here.
and worth the journey as well at the same
No,
time.
exactly, exactly. You want to see a couple games if you can or whatnot, but
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it has become increasingly difficult. I think what I mean. Well, now I don't know. I don't know if fans are going to be allowed in the stadiums at any point during the end of the season.
yeah, they were saying I think maybe 10. They were looking at even possibly 10% for the Champions League game against Lyon. That's kind of been speculated about,
Yeah,
but who knows? I mean,
who knows?
if they're like, should we take the risk? I wouldn't. I mean, it's nice, but it's like, do you really
It's not
want to
worth the risk.
reintroduce?
Exactly.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, well, again, we'll see what the numbers are like in August, right? Because that's when
Yeah,
that game would
exactly,
be played.
exactly.
And then if we get there without a hiccup, then hey, I have no
Great.
problem with that. But
Yeah,
it would suck if like that happened. We get to the next round and then all of a sudden they cancel the Champions League.
I know.
Knock on
I
wood.
know. I genuinely feel, I don't know about you, I just think that, I think if we look at the Champions League, and there's maybe a question for you is, who would you look at in the Champions League? If you look at European teams,
Yeah.
say prior to the last round, because obviously some fixtures have been played, who would you have said is a team who you probably wouldn't like to face?
Bayern, I think.
Is it Bayern for you? Okay. See,
Yeah, I
mine
think
is
because they're looking good,
the
and
dangerous.
they've kind of always been that team. Like we've lost to them obviously twice
A
in the
vulgar team,
knockout,
yeah, yeah.
so they're not really a good team for us. I find when we match
Uh,
up against them,
Certainly, certainly. I think for
at least from
me,
past experience.
yeah, yeah. For me, I mean, right now, I agree with you. It is Bayern. I think they're in form. I think they've got a fantastic team, and they can hurt us. But again, I think we can hurt them equally. I think prior to obviously the last round it was Liverpool. I
Yeah.
didn't. Liverpool was kind of team that I just didn't want to face. That kind of team that presses you, and I just thought,
Okay.
what?
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite ready to be pressed like that. We don't play sorry ball. It's not embedded into us at the moment. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yep.
So really, that's not a kind of team that I would like to have faced. But that being said, if we get past Leon, I genuinely feel that we've got as good a chance as we've had in so long. Well, actually, I say that, but every year we have a good chance. Like
Yeah.
Ajax last year. Really, we should have been
Oh,
beating
please.
a team like that and going through. There's no two ways about it. But you just feel.
Don't get it
You know,
started again.
yeah, I'm sorry. I do. I think I look around and I think there's not many teams that can hurt us. If you look at the Reals, you look at the Barcelonas, even Man City. I just think yes, they're great teams. I just feel like we just have more than them. There's nothing
Yeah.
to, Juventus. We don't have to walk in there and fear them.
No, I
We,
think I think Man City, like you said, is. I still think they're not very experienced, and I think we could walk over a team
exactly,
like that.
exactly,
And same with
exactly.
PSG, they've had their issues in the
Yeah,
past. Obviously,
yeah,
the comebacks and stuff like that, and even losing to Man U last year was kind of a real shocker to me.
yeah.
And that kind,
Oh,
and everyone really talking about Mbappe. That's kind of something that kind of was a mark against his. And I know you can't say obviously one player, but a guy that like I don't know if you watched those
I
two
did.
legs, but
Yeah,
he was like
I did.
missing sitters like left and
He
right. It was
was.
almost it
He
was almost like
was.
Ronaldo last year.
It's yeah. It's pressure, isn't it? I guess it's what pressure does, and you forget how young he is. Such
Yeah,
such
exactly.
a talent, but he is only young. What is he? 20 years
No,
old, if
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
So the pressure can
it's
get to the greatest
ridiculous.
of people. But boy, oh boy, would I love to see him at Juventus one day.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's why I'm like, hey, if PSG was like, we'll take Ronaldo for like Mbappe plus money, I'd be like,
Done,
sign it,
done.
sign the check right now.
You know what? No, I say done, but saying that, I
Oh,
still
I
can't
would,
believe.
man. I
You
would.
know what? No, of course. Look, if you got, of course, realistically speaking, of course. But God, having Ronaldo is just. I still
Oh,
can't
definitely,
believe it
definitely.
sometimes. I just still sometimes just think, oh my God, does he plays for Juventus? Like, not that he plays for Juventus, like he's playing for my club. I'm so used to him
Seems weird.
taunting
Yeah,
and haunting us in the Champions
exactly.
League, and you see him score hat loads of goals, and when he does it for your team, you're like, wow, this guy he's a machine. And I was always more Ronaldo than Messi. Don't get me wrong, I would never want to compare the two because I think they're both
Right.
brilliant in their own right. But I was always more favored towards Ronaldo. I just felt that he has that more human kind of connection to him, with the fans.
Yeah,
And now that we've got him, wow, what a man!
no, exactly, exactly. No, for me, I honestly, it was always sick of that conversation. I
Yeah,
was like, fuck you guys. We got Del Piero. We got all these fucking legends here. We got Buffon. I don't give a shit about Messi or Ronaldo.
yeah,
That's what my
exactly.
opinion was. But
Yeah,
it's, yeah, no, it's definitely nice to have him. And I'm really hoping it pays off for us because we've been waiting quite a bit.
certainly,
So,
certainly.
and then again, with the Liverpool thing you were saying, I think what's scary about them is they play a lot like Lazio with the counterattacking football.
So much
So
so.
I think if we weren't, and I mean, we lost to Lazio twice, not learning a week apart. So that could be interesting as well. But yeah, man, I think unless you have anything else you want to bring up, I think.
No, obviously, just saying thank you for having me on. Thank you for doing what you're doing for the Juventus community. I enjoyed listening to your podcast, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And yeah, it's again, yeah, just thank you very much for what you've done.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on, Adal. I appreciate it. I want to get as many new voices as I can on here. It's always great to hear different stories, different backgrounds from
Yeah,
different places around the world, and I think we all kind of have our own unique story. And our club is again a unique club that I don't think you find too many histories like ours. And
no,
it's yeah, no, it's really nice to have everyone on, and it seems to be going pretty smooth. Again, I appreciate all the support from everyone out there, and yeah, I think this is gonna be a wrap on the first one. Again, if you don't know, on Twitter at Juventinita, DAL, at Instagram as well, same tag, and then obviously now we have the podcast up on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and yeah, Podbean as well. If anyone uses that, I'm not sure, but yeah, guys, thanks for listening, and as always, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao.
no.